All right, we're back. Tasty Crypto Show, special edition. Surprise, surprise. It's me, Ryan Grace, here with Shelley Van. Shelley, what's going on?
It's Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
At 3 o'clock. Happy Thursday. Happy October.
Thirsty Thursday for some of us out there.
Ooh.
I wish that was the case for me today, but it's not, sadly. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Yeah. Enjoying the unseasonably hot weather.
Right. Beautiful out there in Chicago. Hopefully it's beautiful wherever you all are. If you're not streaming on YouTube, get over to the Tasty Live YouTube channel, pop out the chat, type something in the chat, type some crazy shit in the chat. We're taking over. Ilya's out, Chris is out, Dylan's out. So you've got me and Shelley here today. It's Crypto Week though, so yeah. We've been calling it
I think we're going to call it like Crypto Month. It's October.
Crypto Month, yeah. It's been a couple of crypto years for us here today, but
I think you just got referred to as Benedict Cumberbatch, which I don't see it really, but maybe the voice? Scramble everything. Okay.
I'm going to have to Google this. This is like way over my head.
Doctor Strange.
Still way over my head.
Oh. Okay. All right. What up, Donna?
Is it because of my appearance and how just generally messy I look?
No.
Okay.
You don't look that messy.
No, well, that's nice of you to say.
You're a new dad.
Yeah.
You get a pass.
I'm in the trenches.
You are in the trenches.
In more ways than one. Shelley, we've got a lot to talk about today. We'll also talk about anything else, anywhere else anyone wants to go. I've been, with the opportunity to just step away from for a second from the day-to-day. I'm back in markets full-time. I'm trading lots of things. The big thing that I've been into recently is kind of on the the nuclear reactor side of things. I know a lot of people have been in SMR, OCLO, URA, ETF, CCJ, Cameco, a uranium miner. But I think in terms of kind of the direction that we're going in, as we've talked about from a macro perspective, you've definitely seen some outperformance in some of these areas. They're a little bit bubbly in some cases, right? You've got these nuclear reactor, small scale nuclear reactor companies that aren't exactly super profitable. We're hoping they make a couple $1 million here in revenue when they report. But, have kind of been front and center. A lot of volatility, a lot of opportunity to trade those. So if anyone wants to talk about anything outside of crypto, even though it is Crypto Week towards the end of the show, we can do that as well, because I know that's what people are pretty much used to at this time of the day. Normally the Tasty Crypto Show is at 4:30, but again, it's crypto year for us. So let's talk a little bit of crypto here.
Let's do it.
Got some price action being quoted in the chat. ETH to 5K, not there yet. Chaz says 120K. I don't know if that's referring to Bitcoin or ETH.
Bitcoin's at 120.
Right. I'm thinking it's Bitcoin, but 120K ETH. We're not on the show anymore. There will be signs, right? We're not here.
You're right. I have a question. Which crypto is better to invest in, Pepe or ETH? Oh, that's a funny.
It's pretty good, right?
One or the other.
All right, let's answer it. I mean, if you have to choose between Pepe, a meme coin on Ethereum, or ETH, the native currency of Ethereum, where are you at?
I guess the question is, how much money am I playing with? That's more of the question.
Your life savings.
Okay, ETH.
I thought you were going to go a different direction with that.
I'm not that degenerate.
Okay.
I love playing in the trenches, but not with my life savings.
Yeah, both are available to trade through Zero Hash on the tastytrade platform. So take a look. We actually added some new tokens this week as well. Uniswap, Arbitrum, ARB,
BAT.
And BAT. We got Bonk. Alexander says Bonk. $2,000 into Bonk. Yeah, you might be able to double that pretty quickly the way that some of the stuff moves. But let's talk about a different way to invest, possibly, here today, Shelley. We're going to kick off the show talking about dollar cost averaging. We have a new feature that has launched in the tastytrade platform. It's on the web-based version of all the trading platforms, hoping to bring this to the mobile app and to the desktop platform in relatively short order. But on the Invest tab, you'll see the ability to set up recurring cryptocurrency purchases. Just got out of a meeting with the team, with the whole development team, all the product managers. They're working on this for just equities, just traditional investments as well. So started with crypto, going to stocks next. So you'll be able to set up recurring purchases. We want to talk about that, but maybe we talk a little bit about why that's interesting, or it's an approach that people want to take. Crypto can be pretty volatile. It's hard to time the market.
It is hard to time the market, but I think after we cover dollar cost averaging, or maybe on a different show, maybe next week on Beans, we talk about how you read charts, because
Could do that, yeah.
that's been very useful to me.
I'm a simple man. I just look at moving averages and like go with the flow, I suppose. The trend is your friend sort of thing.
You call yourself a simple man, but yet every time you explain this to me, I'm like, oh my God, it's not simple.
Maybe I just overcomplicate it unnecessarily.
I don't know. It's not that simple.
Well, let's talk about something that is relatively straightforward, and that's dollar cost averaging. So we've got some slides that Dan put together. He's actually out in the process of getting married. Well, he will be getting married in a couple of days. So when he's back in another week or so, we'll have to offer him some congratulations. But Dan put these slides together. We got these I don't know, cute, beautiful little pudgy penguin characters here. Another token we've got to get on the platform. But what is dollar cost averaging, Shelley?
It is. Am I going to read this? I'm not going to read
Oh,
this.
just give us like your little quick summary.
It's automatic purchases. You set them up. Set it and forget it. It allows you to just buy in regularly, regardless of the volatility, regardless of the price, so that if you're long-term bullish on a coin, you can just start accumulating.
Yeah, you're buying a set amount over a certain period of time, right? You're not so much paying attention. You might buy a little bit when it's higher, a little bit when it's lower, but you're doing this on a pretty regular basis, right? You can do this, as we're going to talk about, automatically through recurring investments here in the tastytrade platform, or you can just kind of do this on your own. Maybe you come in every day, every week, and on Fridays you like to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, or pretty soon you want to buy $100 worth of Apple stock, whatever it is. You'll be able to program that through the platform. You can do that here today with crypto, but that's all dollar cost averaging is. If you're not familiar with it, it's a way to kind of remove volatility, or more of the timing component from the purchase process. You're going in, again, on a regular basis, you're buying regardless of what the price is. Dan put together an example, which is fun, because if you go back to 2017, the price of crypto, or Bitcoin in this case, was a lot lower. But let's just look at what happens here when you just invest in this long-term over time. I think we would argue that while trading is fun, arguably one of the best strategies, if not the best strategy for crypto, has just been to hodl, has just been buy and hold, long-term. There are points in time where you want to take profits or take some money off the table, buy back in on the big dips. Probably the best example of that was we ran up to 110-ish. If you took some off and you timed it perfectly, which is hard to do, you did see it go all the way back down to like 75 in April. Could have bought back in. Maybe now is the time to take a little bit off. What do I know? I don't. But for the most part, just buying and holding has been something that probably works better for a lot of people.
Yeah, and there's so much room for error when you exit your position, and then the emotional component of like, I don't hold any now and it's going up, so then you chase. Too much.
Well, let's look at what happens if you buy $5, or if you did buy, let's say, $5 of Bitcoin a month, and you did this every month since 2017, which is, almost a decade. Not quite. So if you did this for 8 years, what would you have? So the total amount that you would have invested over that time, these are very small numbers. This is just $525, 105 months times $5. You would own about 6/100ths of a Bitcoin with your average cost per Bitcoin. This, again, is not obviously what you spent, because you only invested $525, but you would have been buying Bitcoin over this point in time at an average price of $8,713, instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to put X amount of dollars into it at whatever the current price is. What would the returns be? Well, and this just speaks to the performance of Bitcoin over a very long-term period of time. And again, why we've said that buy and hold is, for a lot of people, has generally been a good strategy. You do, again, want to take some profits, but you'd be up over 1,200% on that $500. Get you an annualized return of 34%. You would have in your portfolio almost $7,000. You would have made a little bit over $6,000.
That's not too shabby.
You think those returns continue?
Maybe at a slower pace.
Yeah, the magnitude is smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have it up in front of me. Usually I've got like 5 different screens going on here. But even on a 1-year basis, I mean, gold's done well this year, no doubt. But you look back over the last couple of years, I mean, Bitcoin still has been a great performing asset. There are certainly times where there's that downside volatility. Get out of the way. We've seen very, very large drawdowns in history. I think the drawdowns are smaller going forward too. I mean, there's some evidence of that, right? So while the upside might not be as great, you're probably not going to see, over the next 10 years, 1,200% return. I don't think so personally. But I also don't think that when you do see the sell-offs that your 10% down, 20% down correction is going to turn into like an 80% crash or, I guess, going out of business collapse sort of thing. The last time that happened was the FTX collapse, and it was forced selling pressure.
Yeah. What gets me with Bitcoin is mathematically, I think, what was the statistic? That there isn't enough Bitcoin to go around for like the number of people that can acquire 0.2.
Okay.
You will be rarer than a millionaire because there isn't enough Bitcoin to go around for people to hold that much. So for whatever reason that like stuck with me to just
if you were to see adoption continue at kind of the current rate.
Right.
Yeah.
So to hold 0.2 Bitcoin basically makes you rarer than a millionaire. And I get millionaires aren't that rare anymore. They used to be like, whoa, big deal. But now it's like...
debased the currency so much over time.
And so...
Printer go burr.
I was like, oh, that's not that much. Like 0.2, just buy it and hold it and like, put it in a safe place for your grandkids or something, just in case.
You never know. Yeah, and I think that's what it'll become for most people is that... I think, and you're seeing signs of this already, right? You have the ETFs, you have the institutional flows. To Alex's point in the chat, best strategy was to buy Bitcoin at $10, of course.
Right.
I think you will see this become, and it certainly has more so recently, become kind of a normal addition to a portfolio. Maybe normal is not the best word, but the message is going to be, you're moving outside of the 60-40, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. You're seeing some of that with gold, right? Investment advisors are obviously already allocating beyond just a traditional 60-40 portfolio. But I think that's going to become the norm, whereas historically it was 60-40. Okay, you got to have some stocks, you got to have some bonds, right? Because you don't want to take too much risk. I mean, for anybody that's generally younger in age, you probably don't want any bonds at all. And at one point recently, that was the worst performing asset you could be in as the bond market kind of blew up a few years back when we saw that massive hike in interest rates. So I think that Bitcoin's going to become a normal piece of the portfolio for most people. And it's not going to be something where it's as volatile, certainly not. It's going to have higher volatility than stocks or bonds for sure, but is going to be something where you probably aren't looking at it, or we're not talking about it as often as we are, right? There will be periods of time, cycles where it outperforms and cycles where it underperforms, but it might not have maybe the novelty that it still does for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody on Facebook, I'm very rarely on Facebook, asked me, like, I just don't understand. It just doesn't make sense to me. A very normie question, like, how does it hold any value? It's invisible. And I'm just curious because I answered her in a way that she was like, oh, that makes sense to me. Thank you. But I'm curious to hear your response to that question.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's only worth what people believe it to be worth, right? Like we put a lot of faith in assets. We put a lot of faith in, in paper currencies and fiat currency, right? And I guess you could make the argument that, okay, so with money, with this system, with the U.S. dollar, right? We use it. It's accepted. There's reasons to believe that it will forever be used, I suppose. It has been for some time, right? And then at the end of the day, you have the backing of the U.S. Army. That's, I think, the thing that probably like solidifies it more than anything. It's like, okay, it's a government, yes, but it's like, it's force, right? It's tanks, it's guns, it's missiles, it's bombs. that's what solidifies or backs the U.S. dollar in that sense, right? To some extent, it's oil. And so, yeah, I mean, it's only worth the paper it's printed on, but it's the belief system, and it's the system itself. And so, yeah, like intrinsically, what is this digital asset worth? Well, I can't hold it in my hand. Okay, well, the fact that you can physically hold a dollar in your hand isn't exactly what makes it valuable either. It's that it's used within a system. It's adopted by that system, and has a stronghold over it. There was probably a point where I think that was a really valid question around Bitcoin specifically. And this is not true of all crypto. I think when you look at all of crypto, or you look at blockchain, you got to think about it as a technology. So intrinsically, in some cases, like there's real value there as a function of what that is or represents, how it's used, what it facilitates. But you can't really quantify it very easily in that, like, oh, I can hold it in my hand as well, right? It's not tangible. Right. But when you look at Bitcoin, I think it has reached that escape velocity in terms of, if you want to use the word faith or adoption, belief in it as an asset class, as maybe a money, as a store of value, as a transfer of value. And I think that's probably the last piece that makes it, in a tangible sense, valuable, is the ability to use a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, on the blockchain network, Bitcoin, big B, little b sort of thing here, to move that value digitally across the internet in a permissionless, decentralized way. That removes intermediaries and ultimately removes censorship, removes government from that. Good or bad, right or wrong, right? I think there is something valuable about having the freedom outside of the existing financial system, which arguably can be manipulated and certainly constrained, restricted, censored at times, right? You can be debanked, not an area that we go into or talk about here all that often. There's a political component to it, and maybe certainly it's relevant to people more so outside the United States at times. But the ability to freely move value in a digital way, I think, is intrinsically like worth something.
Absolutely.
And so then you set that up against a system where you don't have any control, or you and I or anybody else doesn't have any control over the decisions that the monetary authorities are going to make. But we do live and work in a system that uses dollars. But we don't really have control over those forces that, can have a negative impact in times on the price of the things that we are required to buy with those dollars to live, right? And so I know I'm kind of getting into this weird space, but like that's what makes it valuable, is that this is a hedge against all of that. It's the only thing that kind of sits outside of that system. Physical gold, you can hold that. Somebody can show up with weapons and take it from you for sure. And I think, to some extent, you could probably be forced to give up your seed phrase. But if you go all the way to that one end of the spectrum, which is not kind of what we talk about here, where it's like, hey, look, I am trying to make more dollars with this crypto or Bitcoin or whatever the token is or the trade at the time in the short term. All right, that's kind of what I find valuable about it, is maybe it's more so the volatility. But if you go all the way to that one end of the spectrum where I can actually just keep my seed phrase in my head, and as long as we live in a world where the electricity is still turned on and the internet still exists, this thing is real in that sense, as long as, again, everybody else believes that it is as well. And I don't see any evidence that we're going in the opposite direction, where less people believe in this. And now maybe that's just a function of the price going up in dollar terms. I don't know, right? Because like at the end of the day, what do we price it in? We still price it in this dollar.
Right.
But I don't see adoption waning. And it's certainly not something where, if you go through the history of Bitcoin, there were a number of times where if this was going to die, Bitcoin is dead, crypto is dead, it should have been dead and buried, but it somehow has come back to life. And now it's been institutionalized.
Right.
And I think, it's kind of controlled more so in that sense. And yeah, I mean, you don't have to own it. No one is saying you must buy this thing, but if you're trying to understand, what makes it valuable, again, it's just like a hedge against this system. Or if you want to, it's a way to participate in the asset price inflation that seems to be pretty persistent. You could do that in other ways too, but this is like pretty easy to access anymore. And so I think that's valuable.
That was a very long way to say.
Sorry.
No, I love it. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see what people are saying in chat.
They all left. They're like, oh, get this crazy guy off of the air.
Well, no, can't use it when the power is off. I mean, if you don't have cash on you, you're not using traditional money either.
Yeah, that's an interesting...
I've been in Walmart when the power goes out,
right,
in Hawaii, actually, because I was on the Big Island. And it's still an active volcano. So, like, the power goes out, and it's very real. And people were like, well, now what? And I guess you could use cash, but without the, like, manual cash registers, what are you doing? Like, tallying things on paper? So it was like, if the power goes out, we have a whole different set of problems.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, I think, like, objectively, right, that is true. If there is, what's the argument people like to use, like electromagnetic pulse. So if all the circuitry is fried and there's no electricity, the internet doesn't exist, then you absolutely can't use Bitcoin. It's worthless. But, like, you can't log into your brokerage account either. You can't use the ATM. Like, now we're into that territory where it's like, well, hopefully you have some seeds, a supply of food. You hopefully have a weapon.
A horse.
You aren't faced with people that do have weapons, right? Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Like, yes, of course, you're not going to be able to use this if the power is out. But, like, I don't know. I think people just look at this as like an asset that's that you use as a store of value. If you have the choice to invest in, like, Apple stock, which you can't use if the power's out either, not that we use that for day-to-day transactions, right? Like, you're not buying something with Bitcoin, though you could actually, right? Which I suppose you could buy something in physical gold. So you could use physical gold or silver or any other metal if the power is out. But or maybe you just have, like, a bottle of booze you could, like, barter or something. But this is a fun show today. But
yeah, like, what's valuable in the end of days?
Right? Like, what makes this valuable? What makes this valuable is
chocolate.
Is the same thing that makes all the other stuff valuable, right? What makes the worthless, profitless companies valuable? Well, it's speculative in nature in an environment where they're priced in dollars, and there seems to be a never-ending flow of those dollars. The COVID period was the best example of this. The stimulus, what we've done in terms of the manipulation of interest rates over time, the emergency monetary policy that post 2008 was basically at emergency status for the better part of a decade. That's what makes all of this valuable. It's the never-ending, again, supply of dollars in the system, right? When we talk about what makes this go up in dollars, it's liquidity. We talk about, you've seen the charts with the M2 comparison and the rate of change of global liquidity. Is there more credit in the system or the more dollars in the system that tends to make all assets go up in price? Or interest rates going lower? Is the value of the dollar versus other currencies moving lower? As we've seen recently, if you look at the dollar index, tends to be a tailwind to asset prices. Again, I don't think it's a surprise that equities are where they are over time, or gold is where it is, or crypto is where it is. So again, a rant a bit, but if you go all the way back to where this kind of started.
We should do a whole series of Ryan's rants, because they're like the best.
Well, if you go all the way back to where this started, this has been one of the best performing assets in that environment. And so if you just want to participate in it because you believe that it's going to go up along with everything else, right? Like, if you're super bearish, then again, you probably just want to be in dollars, because the dollar will hold its value versus whatever you're investing those dollars into if you're super bearish. If you think that the whole market's going to collapse, then you definitely shouldn't be in crypto, and you probably shouldn't be in anything else either. But if you believe that, some of this continues, and I think if you look at the next 3-6 months, probably an environment that I think is, at least today, given the data that we have, is pretty conducive to asset prices, then this has been a decent investment. So let's say, finally, Shelley, that you want to set up a recurring purchase because you listen to this crazy guy on YouTube talk about, you need this thing in terms of how the monetary authorities are going to manipulate stuff, right? Here's how you do it. So we're in the tastytrade web platform, and I am on the Invest tab. So let's just say that you're on the Positions tab, got a handful of things going on here. Got to reload, apparently. Let's just reload real quick. Reloaded. Now you click on invest. So over here on the left-hand side, underneath watch list, you got positions, trade, activity, watch list, a lot of buttons, invest. Click on invest, and you can see here, if you've been watching the show, I fixed my chart.
I failed you the other day too. And that was really just a function of like, you need to put your mouse in a certain spot and then scroll, and it would have given you your button.
Yeah, we broke the system.
Oops.
We fixed it though. We figured it out. We talked to the right people, and we're back. We got the single chart view here. But I do love that feature, multi-chart right up here. But that said, you click on invest. You want to set up a recurring purchase. Maybe, like I have, you want to buy $25 of Bitcoin on a weekly basis. Should we set up a recurring purchase?
Heck yeah.
All right, let's do this for Ethereum. So here's how you do this. Any of the cryptocurrencies, the tokens that are offered here on the tastytrade platform, which is an expanding list. Recently, we added 3 more. You can search for these tokens here in the search box. And if I type in ETH, I get Ethereum Classic. We're not going to buy that. We're going to buy some, I don't know, regular Ethereum? What do you just ETH, right?
Yeah, just ETH.
So we're going to set this up. And you can see here, you've got the price. We're up about $100 here today, almost $4,500. I want to buy $25 every week. So if I set up the amount, I just type that in. You can use these beautiful controls here. You can adjust it $1 at a time if you would like to. The frequency here, you've got 3 choices: weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. So you can't really set this up yet, at least, where it's like, let's do recurring purchases, volume weighted average price.
Hourly.
You know, let's kind of come at this like an algorithm. Buy this every minute, at a certain price. Not yet, at least, but pretty straightforward. If you want to do this on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis, you can do that. We're going to do this weekly, and then you just pick your start date. So we can start tomorrow. You'll get a notification, you'll get the fill, you'll get the confirmation of this in your email inbox. But if we do this, we set this up for tomorrow, you then just set up the account that you're going to put it in. So the account that we're trading in right now, we're going to put this in here. And then I talked about this the other day, but there are 2 different ways to structure this from a funding perspective. Most people are probably just going to use their buying power. So if you have ample buying power, and you know that if I buy $25 worth of crypto today, I'm not on the edge. It's not going to set me into a margin call or anything like that. I have the capital available. You just pull from your buying power. But if you want to ensure that no matter what you're doing with any other asset you're trading or any of your activity, you want to ensure that you are going to keep this recurring purchase going, then you would just click bank account. And when you do that, you'll see that there's a little disclaimer here, but basically this is going to make sure that it withdraws from your bank account. And then with that deposit with your connected bank account, it's going to go in and make that purchase free. So it never really turns off. So you can just, buy crypto forever. We're going to use our buying power for this one. And so if you got your kind of standard approach to routing an order, you click on review. This is our order ticket for the recurring purchase. If I click on submit recurring investment, that is the buy button that it will route the order. Now it's not going to fill immediately, obviously, because we set it up for October 3rd. So it'll fill tomorrow. If I want to make any changes to this or go back, you just simply click the edit button. But let's submit that recurring investment. You can see as soon as I did that, I've got this pending active investment. You can see when I started it or when we've decided to start it, which is tomorrow. So the next investment then is going to be tomorrow, the amount. You could see this other one I've had running here, dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin since August 7th. It's now the 2nd. So the next one will be made here as this is weekly on the 9th. I got my confirmation this morning of my $25 purchase. These are both active. And then for anybody that wants to make an adjustment to this, right? Let's say that you routed the wrong order in a sense, you set it up incorrectly, you want to edit it, you can do that. You want to take a break. Maybe you're kind of over automatically buying crypto for one reason or another. You can pause it, or you can just outright cancel it. So your controls here for adjusting it are right there on the screen. It's really easy to use. And again, it's on the invest tab. This is long-term investing. This isn't trading. It's recurring purchases.
Long game. Yeah. I love it. Well done.
Thanks.
Well done.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
What's the chat saying? We've got like AC 130s and Warhogs scrambling in the chat. AI is probably taking over.
Yeah.
I love this. This
is your jam. See, we need a Ryan Rants.
I'm just scrolling through here. I appreciate everybody showing up here today and joining us in the chat. Wit Sevens, Texas, what up? Katana, as always, Juan's here. Donna Ski, Grumpy Mike, Alex, everybody's up in here. If I didn't shout you out, who else we got here? Lobo does. One of these days we're going to be like reading all the names off. There's going to be something like wildly inappropriate or offensive.
Been there.
Whoops.
Although I think YouTube's fairly safe.
Yeah, there's kind of like some.
I've gotten into
of
trouble
like
on
moderation.
Discord doing that.
Yeah.
Ooh, what did I just say out loud? Sneak attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got some other cool stuff happening this week.
What else is happening?
Mobile order tickets.
That's right. I don't have any images of this yet. We have this in our test flight version, but we can't show it on the screen. But yeah, much needed, well overdue redesign of the crypto order entry, order ticket interface on the mobile application is coming hopefully tonight, tomorrow, maybe next week. I don't know. I've got to check with the team, Shelley.
Yep.
I'm slacking.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of changes are coming to mobile beyond crypto. Ton of great stuff in the works. So hopefully people notice that. Again, you were in the meeting too. We just got out of a meeting where we saw some wireframes. We got a sneak peek as to everything that the mobile team is working on. And I've got to say, I'm excited. There are some awesome changes coming to the app.
Yep.
And let's be honest, they're needed. And I couldn't be more excited for the evolution of this platform.
Likewise. And yeah, just general housekeeping. No beans tomorrow.
Okay, no beans. We're taking a breather.
Taking a breather because we have to do some other things in studio, like pre-recorded content. And next week, Ryan will be joining me on beans for the first time. That'll be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome.
I'll have to drive.
Yeah, I'll just sit there and, I don't know, try to look pretty, I guess.
There you go.
It's going to be hard. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So next Friday on Beans, Tasty Crypto Show will resume its normal schedule next week. Unless we get more slots added. That'll be fun. Because Crypto Month, October. Let's do it.
It is October. And if anybody missed the show from yesterday, I do think it's a fun one that everybody should go check out. If it's not up on our Tasty Crypto YouTube channel yet, we'll get it up there. It's definitely on the Tasty Live website underneath the Tasty Crypto Show. But we talked about the seasonality in Bitcoin that historically we've observed. Q4 tends to be a great month for outperformance. Doesn't mean that it will going forward. But I guess if we look at the last couple of days, signs of a start of October, we'll see. But that was a good show. I hope everybody gets a chance to check that out. Dan was on the show with us as well. But Shelley, before we wrap things up, we got to just get back to the chat really quickly. Michael Foster's got a question in here. Which crypto can I trade intraday? And Michael, the answer to that is you can trade all of them intraday. So this is changing too, but previously there was the pattern day trader rule. So if you had less than $25,000 in your account, you can only make 5 day trades within a 5-day period. I think it was 5, might be 3. Apologies. You can only make a limited number of day trades within a 5-day period. Otherwise, your account is set to closing only. Just some legacy kind of regulatory stuff that probably this day and age, needed to be changed. And I believe that that it has been changed. And so that going forward will be better for everybody. But that doesn't apply to futures. It doesn't apply to crypto. So if you want to buy and sell any of the tokens that are offered here on the platform all day long, you can do that. There's no, no implication to it in terms of like your account's going to be set to closing only or turned off or anything like that. We're about freedom over here.
Yeah.
With crypto, right?
Decentralized. And Michael, subscribe to our newsletter if you're not already. The link is pinned to the chat, but Ryan's charts that he shares, I shouldn't say charts, they're tables.
Yeah, we've got our performance kind of dashboard, our momentum indicators, our trading ranges. Like I think to some extent, like I use the stuff. It's I think it's helpful, right? It's a framework, a roadmap.
Yeah, and so I think
that in there for free.
Taking a look at that is helpful. At least I find them helpful to kind of get my head around like where's the volatility at? Because for day trading, where's the big swings?
Yeah.
If you can make 1% on a big bag, you're making some money.
It helps, yeah. Yeah, it's better than what you typically can make annually in a checking account, right? If you can make 1% a day, and you're a hell of a trader. That's a good question, though, out of Michael. I think we got to shout out Grumpy Mike. Like, Grumpy Mike, you getting outside? We're going to walk in or just up and down the stairs, it seems like.
Grumpy Mike is one of my favorite tasty traders.
I love Grumpy Mike. I love everybody, but, Grumpy Mike is always up here in the chat. Stay grumpy.
Stay grumpy.
Yeah. It's a good show. What else we got in here really quickly? And appreciate all of the kind words, everybody, all the time, and appreciate the support here on the network, on the show.
Oh, interesting. Scramble everything. Those gas fees are going to get expensive. So if you're buying and selling ETH in the platform, well, ETH is one example because ETH is the one that's got the most expensive gas fees. But
yeah, this is centralized.
Right.
Like I don't know if that's a good thing in some people's minds, but this is exchange traded.
Yeah.
In that sense, where you're against a a venue like similar to Coinbase, right? It's not on chain necessarily. It's just you're trading the price.
Exactly. So, yeah, do with that what you will.
Yeah, no gas fees. If you want to withdraw crypto, you can do that, right? So if you want to transfer crypto in and out of the brokerage ecosystem, you can withdraw crypto, you can put it into cold storage, you have it somewhere else, you want to deposit it, use it as a funding mechanism, liquidate it, whatever you want to do, you can do that. So there's a gas fee that you're going to pay when you're
on chain, there's a gas fee. Grumpy, outside, hell no, there'd be people out there.
We've got a question here. What are the overall benefits of owning Bitcoin, BTC, over IBIT? Like the idea of owning IBIT and selling calls or just putting on strangles. And I'm with you there. I think like when you look at the what's the benefit of owning Bitcoin, you kind of actually own it, right? Similar argument around gold, right? Like there's some people that will criticize the GLD ETF and say it's paper gold. If you're somebody that wants to own physical gold in some of the scenarios we talked about previously on the show, not going to be able to do that or redeem it through the GLD ETF. It's paper gold. If you actually hold it in self-custody, cold storage, you have your own wallet, you own the Bitcoin and you have the ability to transfer it, like complete control over it. As long as you have the seed phrase, nobody else does. There's no exchange hack. And I think that, that's less of a concern now. But you go back to the FTX days and some of the other hacks and things, cybersecurity risks that we've seen, you have complete control over it. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at this from like a trading perspective, back to, okay, how do I make as much money as possible? How do I generate yield? There is going to be an annual management fee, like there is with most ETFs associated with the IBIT ETF, but it also has extremely liquid options. So if you want to do a covered call, I think there's more of a benefit to it from that perspective to trading the ETFs if you want to trade the options around them. I own Bitcoin. I trade IBIT. I do both. Trade futures, perpetuals at times. I think you're probably in the same boat as me where we're multi-product, even if it's the same asset class, depending on kind of the strategy that you want to use. So I don't think it's like one is better than the other or you should just do this or do that. It's like, look, I own some long-term Bitcoin. Maybe I'll never sell it because I'm crazy. But in the meantime, maybe I want to, when volatility hits a certain level, if it's cheap, I might want to buy a call spread or I want to sell a strangle or I just want to own some IBIT and sell calls against it. I'm doing that right now with ETH, the Ethereum ETF.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's the interesting part with these DATs, the digital asset treasuries, is your exposure depending on sorry, I don't speak this language yet. So
you're getting there. It's okay. No apologies.
I'm a student.
We all are.
So your exposure to the underlying can be greater than actually owning the underlying. Like what was it with IBIT? It's like 1.7 or something.
With some of the treasury companies, there's a little bit of a premium in there. You kind of have a component of leverage. Or you could, look at that from the perspective of futures too, where you don't need to buy a whole coin. You need a little bit of money and gives you exposure to a whole coin.
Right. So that's interesting to me. So I like owning the underlying just because I'm going to hoard that. Again, my grandfather died and he had gold bars in a safe. And I was like, yes, that's badass.
Big gold bars?
Like gold bars, okay? Wow. So that's badass. I want to do that for my children and my grandchildren. Like, okay, what's Shelley Van leaving behind? It's going to be like...
Magic internet money.
Some Bitcoin. And ETH, and Solana, and, who knows what the altcoins will be, but my great-grandkids will be like, what's Fartcoin? You're welcome. This is now recorded, So
Grandma left you, and you get the fart coin.
yeah. Hey, that could be a big inheritance. You
That's
never
awesome.
know.
Yeah, you never know. Mm-hmm. Well, Shelley, that's going to do it for our show. We'll be back next week. Mm-hmm. Till then, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter and you're interested, it's pinned in the chat here, or go over to tastycrypto.com. You'll see it's the first thing on the page that you can sign up for. Also, check out Beans. Check out the Tasty Crypto YouTube channel as well. We've got a ton of great content up there. All of the prior Beans episodes are up there. Taking a break, like Shelley said, tomorrow, but we will be back next week. Until then, I'm Ryan.
I'm Shelley.
Peace.